One moment. It is the Friday live stream for this YouTube channel. Got nobody on right now, so I'm just gonna wait for people to show up. I don't know. I'm just gonna play music. We have one person online. Oh, now it's 0. Never mind. Got one person on here. 3 people. Here we go, guys. All right, just listening to music, waiting for people to get on this channel. What do you think of Roe v. Wade potentially being repealed? Funny that you asked this. I was just reading about this, actually. If the Supreme Court decided to overturn Roe v. Wade, it would cause a violent division in this country. So, for example, the defense attorney for Comal County in Texas stated today that even if the Supreme Court overturns Roe v. Wade, we will not be prosecuting anybody for having an abortion. If you were to decide, if the Supreme Court overturned Roe v. Wade, it wouldn't just split the country up by states. It would split the country up by counties, because certain counties are going to allow for abortion. Certain counties won't. Yeah. Will it cause a civil war? I don't know. There's no way I could ever make that guess. But we did have this country did fragment over slavery. So if America fragmented over slavery, it wouldn't surprise me if America were to fragment over abortion. It wouldn't surprise me at all. How's your day going so far? Pretty lazy, actually. Did a lot of gardening work, like 4 or 5 hours. I was outside, and I I did take the time to read your guys' comments while my video was premiering. That was pretty cool. Hello, Gypsy Bird. You got 6 people on, so it's basically a party. Not a whole lot of people on right now, actually. This may be a very quick live stream. Oh, we have 8 people now, so that's cool. I watched the movie Volun yesterday. What did you think? What's your opinion on the film? It's possible. If I had to make a prediction, hello Jade, Michael, hello Joshua. If I had to make a prediction, I don't think the Supreme Court is going to overturn Roe v. Wade. I just don't think that's what it is. I think they're just going to make it into a states issue, and they're going to say, okay, let's let the states decide, like what Texas did, and that's it. I don't think that the Supreme Court is going to overturn. I don't see it happening. I just don't see it happening. But let's say it does happen. Now what? What? People can still get a pill to get an abortion. Like people say, "Oh, look, abortions have declined over the years." It's like amazingly, it's what's the term? It's exponentially lower or whatever. I'm not sure if that word applies exponentially. I think that applies to growth, not decline. But look, it's immensely declined over the years. So many less and less women are having abortions because they realize that it's murder. It's like, well, to a certain extent that's true, but at the same time it's also because people have, like, women just can get a pill and get an abortion. They don't have to go to a clinic and shame themselves. They can just get a pill and do it, and that's it. you know well, they're going to outlaw the pill too. Okay, so by the time they outlaw the abortion pill, people are not going to have kids anymore anyway, because everybody's going to be having sex with dolls. That's the future. If people are having sex with dolls, they're not having real sex anymore. So there's going to be no point to have abortions or pills. It's just, there's going to be no people. Nobody's going to be conceived. And by then maybe the end of the world will come up. Who knows? It's like, oh, look, they banned abortion. Oh, well, guess what? People are taking pills to have abortions. Well, look, the state of Texas just passed this bill saying that you can't be under the age of 15 if you're going to get a pill. So the pill is effectively outlawed, because statistically speaking, most women who get these pills are like under, you know what? Actually, no, that sounds like that doesn't make any sense. But look, the state of Texas just outlawed the pill, the abortion pill, for women who are under the age of 15. Blah blah. This is a step towards getting rid of abortion forever in America. Then the left will come out and be like, "Oh my God, Texas is Hitler. Look, they want to stop women from taking abortifacient pills or whatever." And and then eventually Texas will outlaw the pill. Mississippi will outlaw the pill and say, that's it, no more pills. And there's going to be a whole underground industry for it. But it's like, look, Texas just banned the pill. Mississippi just banned the pill. There was a Supreme Court case that just banned all pills, all abortion pills. Look. Or they leave it up to the states to ban abortion pills. Look, this is amazing. We're becoming so pro-life now. And it's like, well, people aren't even having kids anymore because all the men are having sex with dolls. So the horrors of what a neighbor can do to their fellow neighbor in the name of false belief. Yep, absolutely. See, the film Volun, you see, somebody told me about the film, and multiple people told me about the movie back in 2018. A number of people said, hey, you should watch this movie. And a Polish gentleman wrote to me and said, hey, I think you should watch this film. I started watching it, and I'm like, this is a soap opera. I'm not watching this. And so I literally just shoved the film. I just put it in the back burner. Then I forgot about it, and then this year I said, you know what, I'm going to watch this movie. So I watched it. And the film starts out like a soap opera. You see, and this is the biggest problem I have with this movie. And people will say, well, it's because they want you to be more familiar with the characters. They want you to be engaged with the characters. So there's this huge romantic tension in the beginning of the movie because the young girl falls in love with this guy and she sleeps with him. And her father forces her to marry this old rich guy because he promises the dad a goat and a couple of acres for his daughter. It's kind of like that movie Holes. Remember that film Holes with Shia LaBeouf? That's the only film with Shia LaBeouf that I enjoyed watching. Remember the movie Holes? When the guy wants he falls in love with some lady and it's like, well, you can't have my daughter unless you give me pig. And he finds the biggest, fattest pig ever, and here it is. And this fat rich guy comes out, and he's like, I got a bigger pig. So, but then they say, well, the both pigs actually weigh the same. So now what? And the girl, instead of just going with the young guy and rejecting this old fat guy, she says, I will pick a number between 1 and 10. Who can guess the number? And the guy's like, you know what? F you. I'm done with this. And he leaves. But that was a funny movie. Holes was a very special film. Yeah, Holes was a very special movie. I tried reading the book after watching the film, and I just couldn't because I actually did read the book after watching the movie. But it was difficult because you're thinking of all the characters in the film, and the book is not that different from the movie. Obviously there's a lot of similarity. Um, but yeah, and she's forced to marry this older guy, and so in the beginning of the film, you're sort of stuck in this love controversy, and that's the only problem that I have with the movie. I wish there's other ways that you can familiarize an audience with the characters. There are other ways. There are better ways, I think. You could simply just have the characters living a normal life, doing farm work, and you could have the first 20 minutes of that with little moments of foreshadowing to give you an idea that something very dark is about to happen. And I think that is actually a better way to make a film like this. A great example of this is the movie Come and See. Come and See did this sort of thing where it shows you the boy and he's in the village, and then he gets sent to the army, and then the area that he's in gets bombed, and he runs away, and he goes back to his village, and the horror there's these little moments of horror in this boy's life in this rural area of Belarus, and it's a beautifully done movie. Alexander Dahl, hello, my Norwegian friend. I was about to say Swedish. But today will be an interesting day. We will be having, of course, tasting of beer uh, later on after the first hour, and then I will show you guys some of my kombucha, some of my fermented tea. I think would be interesting. Had an interesting week because I started a little bit of tension with some of my Polish viewers, which was interesting because I thought all the Poles who listened to me were gone. I literally thought like there's no Poles who listen to me anymore. Polish people disappeared. They used to listen to me and and they disappeared. They said, okay, this African dude from America, African American guy with an afro, he said some nice things about our country. Thank you very much, and we're done with you. Uh, Back in 2018, I did a video about the controversy between Israel and Poland in regards to, the Holocaust, because the president or the prime minister of Israel, Netanyahu, I keep forgetting. I always confuse prime minister and president because in America we don't have a prime minister. There's the president, right? In a way, we kind of have a prime minister. We call the prime minister the Speaker of the House, right? Like Speaker of the House is sort of the 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 congressperson who has the most distinct position. That's my way of saying it with my lack of education on how our American government works. I've never really studied how the American government works in an in-depth manner. I did read a little bit about what the Speaker of the House does, and Speaker of the House has this very distinct position in Congress, in the House of Representatives. Speaker of the House is supposedly the third most important person in the U.S. government because if the president dies, then the vice president takes over. If the vice president dies, then the Speaker of the House becomes the president. But the Prime Minister of Israel, Netanyahu, back in 2018, said that Poland ran uh, death camps, and but he said there were Polish death camps, right? Like all the concentration camps where Jews and Poles and other people were murdered. Netanyahu said, "Oh, these were Polish death camps because they're in Poland." So he says they're Polish death camps, and Poland took issue with this for obvious reasons. And Poland said, "How dare you say that these are Polish death camps? These weren't Polish death camps. These were German death camps. They were built by Nazi Germany. These are not Polish death camps. We were victims just as the Jews were victims of the Holocaust." And the Poles were absolutely right about this because it is really nonsense to sit there and try to pin the atrocity to the people of the country just because the atrocity took place in the country. Poland was invaded, okay? And if you're invaded, you're going to be persecuted and there's going to be facilities that will be used to kill you. And that's what happened in Poland. Poland said this is nonsense. So many Polish people died saving the Jews. And of course, Israel didn't care about any of this stuff because Israel just, I think, wanted to provoke Poland, or they just were too pride filled to correct themselves. I did a video back about this back in spring of 2018, and I said that, and this was at a time where I had my third. Was it my third or fourth? I think it was my third. Yeah, it was my third YouTube channel. I had like maybe over 1,000 or 2,000 subscribers at the time. My videos were getting 500 views, 600 views, not too different from what I'm getting now. So I didn't really expect much of anything out of this video. And so I did the video and I basically said Israel is full of crap. Poland had more people who rescued Jews than any other people in Europe at the time. Uh, there were more Poles who saved Jews than any other people. Even the big Holocaust museum in Israel. I think it's called Yad Vashem, or yeah, Yad Vashem. They stated that there were more Poles who rescued Jews than any other group of people. And so, how could Israel spite Poland like that? And I thought that was bullshit. I didn't like that. I didn't like that Israel did that. Personally, I mean, I'm not Polish, but I took offense to that because when you have a country that has all these heroes who rescued people from fascism, I don't think it's right for you to sit there and try to pin the crime on the country when the country itself was invaded. But anyway, I did the video and I didn't expect anything out of it. Um, Posted the video up. It got a couple hundred views. I said, "Oh, this is pretty normal, whatever." And then a couple of hours later, all of a sudden it was like 4,000 views, 5,000 views, 8,000 views, 20,000 views. The next day it was like 40, 50,000 views. And I thought, what the? All of a sudden I had all these Polish people writing me. All these Polish people were writing me. And my YouTube analytics was telling me that most of my audience was coming from Poland. And this was the case for a while. Um, so that was the whole thing, and I had this huge Polish audience, and I thought they were all gone, but they popped up because I did a video about Poland and Ukraine. Anyway, somebody's asking about abortion. Yeah, I looked into it. Of course, I looked into it. Do you like? I don't know why Americans get so excited. You guys get overly excited about things. Americans get overly, excessively excited about all sorts of things. What's up? What's up, John Juan? Um, it's like people are pro-choice, people are pro-life, and there's almost nothing you can do about it. Um, half of Americans are pro-abortion. You're not going to change that because the Supreme Court overturns something. I think if the Supreme Court overturns it, you're going to have states that will outlaw it, and you're going to have states that won't, and the country's going to be split up like it always is. Is it going to lead to a civil war? I hope not, but we did have a civil war over slavery, so this won't surprise me at all. I have very cynical views about these sorts of things. if the Supreme Court overturns it, yeah, okay. I don't think the Supreme Court's going to overturn Roe v. Wade. It hasn't happened yet. So why are you guys getting excited about anything? Yet again, Russia invaded Ukraine. I didn't expect that either. So I could be wrong about this. But I'm not going to sit here and start screaming and yelling as if it's 5 minutes to midnight. Yeah, exactly. Until the SCOTUS is ruled, why are we getting excited now? If SCOTUS does overturn Roe v. Wade, then yeah, it's sort of a big deal. Sort of a big deal. And the reason why it's sort of a big deal is because I think like over half of abortions now are done with pills. So the clinic isn't really going to make much of a difference. And people who want abortions will just say, okay, I'll just get a pill. What does it change? What does it change other than the fact that it would just divide America even more, or it would simply amplify the divisions that already exist? Ted, we need to talk about your newfound allegiance to Hungary. Yep, absolutely. Hungary will invade Romania. Okay, Transylvania is Hungary. Now, what do you say to that? Because Transylvania is a country that's heavily inhabited by Hungarians, and even though it's technically a part of Romania, I mean, couldn't Hungary make a similar argument that Russia made? Right? Somebody correct me on this. Correct me on this. Hello, Brainstorm. Hello, Sister Tenacious. Happy St. George's Day. Yes, I definitely recommend that you watch Nigel. I definitely recommend that you watch Come and See. It is a true masterpiece of a film. I don't think Roe v. Wade is going to be overturned. But yet again, we live in very strange times where crazy things happen, and status quos change and or are dramatically toppled. We live in very surreal and bizarre times. We're seeing a war right now in Europe. Uh, it's very strange, and we're seeing things that we really didn't expect. So it's very possible that the Supreme Court will overturn it. I don't know. But if it does, I mean, God help us. It'll be good in the sense that it'll allow states more power to outlaw abortion, which is a good thing. At the same time, it's gonna exacerbate the hatred even more. During Austro-Hungarian rule, there were 3 million Romanians to less than 1 million Huns. Did you hear about Kevin Samuel dying? Who's Kevin Samuel? I don't even know who this is. Who's Kevin Samuel? I literally did not know who this guy was until you told me. Thank you very much for informing me about a guy I never. Who is this guy? This guy had over 1 million subscribers. He was a relationship advice guy. So let me guess. He told men to ignore bitches because these hoes and these hoes want a thug. Is that what the kind of guy? Is that the kind of guy he was? Don't go be. I remember years ago, I saw this thing. There's a very large there's a very widespread phenomenon on YouTube of African American gentlemen giving people relationship advice because apparently African Americans can see the dark triad behavior of women better than white Americans can because they're kind of living on the outside. They on a different playing field. They on a different dimension of reality and perspective. Don't you know what I'm saying, my homie? And there's a lot of African American guys on YouTube who do these sorts of channels where they're like, let me tell you something. You need to dominate her. You need to show her right now that you are the dominant male in this relationship, or else she gonna go off to see other dudes. She gonna see other Johns. I can guarantee that. Don't ask me how I know. Don't ask me how I know. Like, there's a lot of this sort of stuff on YouTube, and you know, I remember, and I've seen some very extreme examples of this. I saw this one video years ago of some African American gentleman who was talking, he was giving him relationship advice, and he was like, "All that walking her home type of shit, scratch that out, homie. Once you start walking her home from the car, let me walk you home. Let me see you out the door. Let me walk you to your car. Anytime you start doing that stuff, she senses weakness, my brother. She senses weakness, my brother. She gonna see you as just a friend, and then she gonna start boning other dudes. Oh, the connection is unstable. Oh goodness. Okay, are we good? His life froze. Dang. Oh gosh, live streaming so annoying. Are we back? We're back. Okay. Okay, we're back. But that's the whole thing. Okay, we're good. Yeah, so what I was saying was years ago I saw this video of an African American gentleman giving relationship advice, and he was like, "Yo, all that walking her home type of shit, cut that out because once she sees weakness, she gonna see other guys. I guarantee that. She gonna see you as a friend. Oh, let me walk you home. Oh, let me walk you to your car. Oh, let me see you out. She gonna sense weakness, my brother, as soon as you start acting the fool like that. Once you start acting the fool, she gonna start getting boned by other guys because all these hoes got options. Like everything is pessimism, everything is evil. All women are just like conspiratorial animals who are who are waiting just to pounce and screw you over and treat you like you're nothing. And I'm not saying that it's all wrong. The world is a very dark place, and I think that the world is a lot darker than what we would like to admit. But at the same time, my mentality is, why would you waste your time watching that stuff? Why would you waste your time watching someone giving dating advice? Who cares? You know what I mean? Like, my mentality is, who gives a shit? Like, what would happen if men just stopped watching all this stuff, right? What would happen if men just stopped caring about dating? Like, literally, just stop asking women out. Here is my like. I don't believe in giving dating advice. I believe in giving collectivist dating advice. What we as men can all do as a collective to change everything. Here's what you got to do. Stop asking women out. Stop. Stop asking women out. Because once you ask a woman out, you leave yourself vulnerable to her playing games with you and acting stupid. Like, I'm kind of busy. I don't know. Like, all that bullshit. Here's how to avoid all that nonsense. Stop asking women out. What would happen if men all over the world stopped asking women out? What would happen? I'm interested to know what's your guys' opinion. Women would be extinct. Stop asking women out. Like, literally, everybody stop asking women out. And if they pursue you, reject them. If they ask you out, reject them. If they flirt with you, reject. Just everybody reject them. Right? Reject all women. No, forget it. Cove Teo, if you want to get married, why aren't you married? Oh, yeah, I forgot you're 21 years old and you're a university student. Stop asking women out. Guess what would happen? All the tables will turn and men will have all the power in the sexual marketplace and we would become the bitches. You know how men are like, women are bitches. They're all bitches. I ask them out, they reject me. They're all bitches, all of them. We need to become the bitches. We need to become the bitches. Start acting like a bitch. If you want to get women, start acting like a bitch. Be a bitch. You know how the word bitch is used as a way to insult you, right? It's used as a way to say that you're a weakling or whatever, you're a simp or something. No, because when a woman gives guys the cold shoulder, or when women stood men, how do you say it in the present tense? When they stood up men, when they don't show up to a date, when they show up late, or when they act ambiguous. When women do all these things and they start playing mind games, they're friend zoning you. We say, oh, they're bitches, right? Start acting like a bitch. Be a bitch. And guess what? All this nonsense about like, oh, men differences, male, female differences. The reason why women act like this in dating is because of female behavior, and men act this way because of male behavior. And so, what you need to do in the sexual marketing game is, here's a list of things that you need to do. And buy my no. Here's what you need to do. Stop asking women out. I don't care how lonely you are. Play video games. Women aren't. You know what I'm saying? Play. Who cares? Just overturn the whole system. I believe in revolution. I believe in revolution. I'm look at my hair. I'm freaking Trotsky. Okay, I got the Trotsky genetics. I believe in perpetual revolution. What men need to do is just stop, just give women zero attention. Zero attention. Watch how everything will turn. Everything will turn. You'll start seeing good-looking chicks going with super ugly guys. Like, just change the whole everything will, because women will be so desperate, they'll start lowering their standards, going with super ugly dudes. Like, everything will change. Everything will change. Anyway, that's my opinion. I don't until we do this, then we're all screwed. That's it. We're who cares? Like, some guy die. Okay, well, we're all gonna. I mean, yeah, I'm not gonna go that. That's a very dark path. Had enough of you. Goodness. In the old days, there's no dating. There's just man talk to women, and a few months later, there. Yeah, there was a book that I read years ago. It was on the 30 Years' War. The sex robots are coming. There was a book I read years ago. It was about the 30 Years' War, and in this book, it had the diary of a soldier who fought in the 30 Years' War. I mean, life was miserable in those days. This guy was talking in the it's like every day he wrote something about his life, right? And that's another thing, diaries. Whatever happened to those? It's like, why did people write them? People in the medieval period wrote down details of their day. At night they'd say, "Oh, I met with my friend. We had some beer, and we had some I don't know, some we killed a goat or something." They would jot down details of their day, and it's I always wondered, like, why? Like, what did they want to be known by posterity? Was it a way? Did they see it as like a historical relic of some sort for the future? Did it make them feel better about themselves? What was the point of having a diary? But I read this book, and this guy had so many kids, and most of them died. And when I mean most of them died, I mean most of his kids died very young. We're talking a day old, a couple of days old, a few weeks old, a few months old, or a few years old. And I think he only had like one child that made it past a year. And that ended up being like his investment. Like, that's the one that survived. I'm gonna see to it that he at least grows into adulthood. But it was very depressing. And this guy got remarried so many times. Like, he got married to his first wife. She got sick. She died. Then it's like a week later, I met Abigail in a village, and we got married the next day. How does this? And then she dies. They had a child, and then she dies for some reason. And then I met with Olga in this village somewhere in Sweden, and we got married the next day. And then we had a child, and then the child died after a couple of days. And then, I mean, this guy got married so many times. I was reading the whole thing. I was like, when is this guy? This guy's a Chad. I'm like, how does he get married so quickly? And I'm thinking, this guy's not a Chad. For one thing, he was a mercenary, right? He was some kind of a mercenary, or he was some kind of a soldier, and he was living in a time of extreme desperation. You're a soldier, you're getting wages in the middle of a war where there's hunger. It's going to be very easy for you to find a mate, because women will be very desperate in a war zone where there's hunger and you don't know if you're going to make it the next day. There's a saying, I think this is a Greek saying, but it goes something like this: the one who is lost in the sea will grab a snake. Meaning, if you're in the water and you're drowning, you will grab a snake to stay afloat and to stay alive. And that applies to this. The 30 Years' War was a very brutal war. It's Europe's worst war before the first two world wars. And some people even argue that, proportionally speaking, the 30 Years' War was the most devastating war in Europe's history, even though a lot less people died than, of course, World War One, World War Two. Proportionally speaking, the devastation that hit Europe in the 30 Years' War was much worse. Again, that could be argued against. It's debated. I don't know. But it took a long time for Europe to recover from the 30 Years' War. And even during the Second World War, there was talk in Germany about how what was happening in Europe was similar to that. It was similar to what took place in the 30 Years' War. 30 Years' War is very interesting because it sort of opens up our eyes to Europe, to what the concept of Europe and to what Europe is. And it really forges what would become Europe, due to the aftermath of the conflict, and really how, I mean, who really won that war at the end of the day? Was it the Catholics? Was it the Protestants? And was it really even about religion? Because initially it was about religion, right? But it didn't really end that way. It ended up being about power and land and territory, because the French eventually got involved in that war. And even though the French were Catholic, the French did not fight for the Catholic side because they saw it as an opportunity to defeat the Habsburgs. The Habsburgs were fighting for the Catholic Church. They were, well, not for the church, but they were fighting from the Catholic position. And then you had the Allies, right? The Catholic Allies, and you had German Catholics and Protestant Catholics, and most of the war took place in Germany. Most of the fighting was concentrated in Germany, and there were different kingdoms in Germany at the time. Germany was not what Germany is today at that time. It was just a multitude of different governments that were neighbors, and they all spoke German, albeit they had their own dialects. And they differed. Their religious differences varied from region to region. Catholicism was even on the decline before the outbreak of the 30 Years' War. There's some data that you can look into regarding this. Before the outbreak of the 30 Years' War, I think mass attendance in certain parts of Germany was in the minority. Most people weren't even going. There were areas of Germany at the time where most people weren't even going to church. Things like occultism were becoming trendy, specifically amongst the elites. Um, and at that time, things like paganism were becoming a little bit more fashionable. Pagan literature was very popular. Ovid's Metamorphosis was a very popular book in the late 1500s. Charles V uh, even minted a coin for himself. Or he didn't mint it, but there was a coin minted during the reign of Charles V, not portraying the face of Charles V, but portraying the face of Hercules, essentially saying that Charles V was a demigod. So there was a lot of weird things that were happening, weird beliefs. There's a painting that you can see. I think it's from the late 1500s. Uh, I don't remember who painted it. I don't remember who painted it, but it shows Europa, the goddess Europa, on the floor, and she's about to lose her clothes. Her clothes are ascending up to the sky, and she's about to lose her virginity, but she hangs on to the horns of a bull, and the bull is Zeus. And so Europe is being ravished, but she is being rescued by mighty Zeus. Like, there was a lot of paganism and that was going on. It wasn't really like, people look at it and say, "Oh, that was Christendom." It was Christendom. It's like, was it really Christendom? The state, the Habsburg Empire, by, I think, I want to say by the late 1560s or late 1550s, the Habsburg Empire wasn't really a pillar of the church. It was more of just a powerful government. It wasn't really that embedded into the church anymore. So I don't know. Yeah, men used to maintain diaries and wrote letters to friends and family to keep their social contact alive and maintain their sanity in a world. Gotcha. That makes sense. So it was psychological. Germany is sending howitzers to Ukraine. Yep. Howitzers. I know. Susan, look up thought means that hoe over there. It's become a thing. Some women actually aspire to be. Goodness, oy vey. Typical American talking about things he doesn't know. Why you talk about stuff you don't know anything about? What are you talking about? War in Europe is always centered around Germans, it seems. Yep. It is the center of power in Europe. Sister Tenacious didn't even know women did things like that till Ted said happened to him, but she was a redhead, so maybe she was a bit too feisty. Soldier must have gotten good body. It's true around the world, though. In every culture, the concept of dating were very alien to them. Ted, the revolution is coming. The sex robots are coming. No, not ravished by Zeus. Being rescued by Zeus. But that's the whole thing. It's like anyway. I forgot why I even brought up the 30 Years War. Completely forgot about that. But that's the thing. Um, I just don't really understand why people get overexcited about things. Unless it's happening. If something crazy is happening, then yeah. But yeah, in those days, people got married very easily. And I think it's just because they were desperate. That was the thing. Years ago, I knew a guy. He was from Romania. No, his name wasn't Cove. Switch your chat from top to just live. Oh, okay. Reported your account? Why? Okay. I don't know. What's this guy's problem? What you're saying, what Poland wants Western Ukraine, you are really dumb as F. Are you Polish? I wish people would be more respectful when they disagreed. Like if somebody is wrong, then you can tell them why they're wrong. I've had numerous Polish people tell me why I'm wrong about what I said. And that's fine, because I could be wrong. That's the thing. I never said like 100% this is what's going to happen. I could be completely wrong. I could be completely full of shit. I'm willing to accept that, But if I'm wrong about something, then you can tell me. You are really dumb. Okay. Okay. I could make a joke about this as a response, but I'm going to take the high ground here and refrain. Goodness. How are you guys doing? I'm doing okay. Anyway, I just find it funny when people disagree with you. They're like, "I'm reporting you." For what? For giving an opinion on your country? Whatever happened? Are you like the Polish SJW? I didn't know there were SJWs in Poland. Or are you like a Polish soccer thug? Are you a fan of Lech Poznan? Which Polish football team are you a fan of? Is it Lech Poznan or is it there was another Polish football team. I used to play it in FIFA. Dang it, what was it called? Polish Polish soccer teams. It was a really big soccer team in Poland. I think it was. Yeah, Lech Poznan. Yeah, is the only one I'm familiar with. There's Warsaw as well, but no. Are you a fan of Lech Poznan or which football league are you a fan of? I think he disappeared. Look at the camera when we talk. Here, the camera's up here, by the way. So if I look at the camera, I'm gonna look even more awkward than I already am. Goodness. How about that guy, Mr. Kondo, who married a fictional character, wilder and more dismal prospects for mankind's future? You are really dumb. LOL. I listen, this is my response to Polish people who think I'm stupid. Your country just brought in millions of Ukrainian refugees. I don't know. I mean, I don't blame you. It's the compassionate thing. I'm conflicted. With you guys, I am conflicted about that. I'm conflicted about that because on one hand, you have a war right next to you. It's going on right next to you, right? And it's like, okay, what do? You can't just reject these people, right? You can't just abandon these people. You can't just do it's humanitarian. It's a humanitarian crisis. At the same time, though, the country that's being bombed is a country that butchered your people not even 100 years ago. And they praise the people who orchestrated the killing. and you're bringing millions of them in. Now, I could be completely wrong about this, and there was a Polish gentleman who told me that most of the refugees entering Poland are coming from eastern Ukraine, where the Banderas cult is not as strong. And if that's the case, then God be with you. But at the same time, how many people are you bringing into your country that reveres Bandera? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a fan of any football club, but the things about you said before, you are wrong at everything. Okay. Can you explain to me why I'm wrong? Explain to me why I'm wrong about what I said. Helping an enemy in need is Christian. It is. It is. At the same time, Jesus also said you have to be as wise as a serpent. And sometimes people who are very nice, um, people who are very kind people get screwed over. I know this because I have been kind to people and I've been screwed over. It takes one to know one. Um, and when you're very nice, people there are predators out there, and what predators look for is niceness. This is a very, very scary reality. It's one of the reasons why I have kind of a dark perspective on life. Man, yeah. Are we gonna get into this? Are we gonna get down the dark hole of my brain? I don't know, but for years I've had this way of thinking where it's like I don't know who's a serial killer or who's not. I don't know if someone's a pedophile or not. Like I get very um worried when I meet new people. I'm like, I don't know what this guy because I've had experiences where I've met with people and they turn out to be really evil people, and it's like, okay, I don't want to ever repeat that again. But when people are very gentle and nice and they're very compassionate and charitable, it doesn't mean that they're weak people. But at the same time, they are people who are very evil who will try to take advantage of that. A great small example of this is Ted Bundy. When he would pick his victims out, he would pretend to be a crippled and he would say, "Oh, could you please carry some things for me in my van?" And the person would say, "Why not?" And then he would push him into the van and they would kill him. And it's so evil, that sort of mentality of I know this person is compassionate, I know this person is a nice person, I'm going to take advantage of that. That is evil. That is so evil. I can't even explain why that's evil. It just is. I don't have to explain why that's evil. It's evil. And there have been cases of people who've opened up their arms to wide open for people who are escaping war, and they get taken advantage of. We saw numerous cases like this in Europe, where you have people of Islamic backgrounds coming who've come in from different Muslim countries, or maybe their parents came in from Muslim countries, and instead of being good law-abiding citizens, they go out and they'll behead people and rape women and kill. I mean, it's horrific. It's horrific. And we've seen a little bit of this with the Ukrainian refugees. A little bit of this. It's not the stories that I've read aren't as bad as what I was reading in 2015, but I have read stories where Ukrainian refugees have started fights. They don't like people speaking to them with Russian. Like, for example, a lot of refugees from Ukraine have gone to Romania, and Romania, well, not Romania. Was it Romania? Or was it, hold on, not Romania, Moldova. I think it's Moldova. And Moldova, half of Moldovans speak Romanian, half of them speak Russian, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. Just a clueless American. So, but because Ukrainians speak Russian, they don't speak Moldovan, or they don't speak Romanian. Ukrainians in Moldova are communicated. Uh, uh, they're they're talked to in Russian because they don't understand Romanian. And so Ukrainians get mad about that. Don't speak to me in Russian. It's like, well, how else am I going to talk to you? you know? So it's like, yeah. So, uh, and there's been violence over this. Um, and there have been cases where Ukrainian refugees have cried out, Slava Ukraine and all this stuff. So there's issues, and even when you bring in millions of those people, you could have problems. I don't know. I hope I'm wrong, but whatever. Ukraine does not have a Nazi problem. Russia does. There's more Nazis in America than in Ukraine. Are you Ukrainian or are you Polish? I think I asked you that before. Wait, hold on. I think I got something wrong here. Or is there a misunderstanding here? Frank, oh, you are Polish. Okay. Um, okay, so if there's no Nazi problem in Ukraine, then why did the Ukrainian government ban the film about what the Banderas did? Why did it ban the film Volun? There's no Nazis in Ukraine. Why did they ban the film about the massacre of your people? Why was there so much resistance towards it? Why does the Ukrainian government glorify members of the OUN as heroes? Why does the Ukrainian government have a law threatening prosecution against perceived disrespect towards those heroes? Why does Ukraine have an actual Nazi battalion as part of its military? That's the question I'm giving to you. Okay, and since you obviously know more than I do, I expect a sincere answer from you. Have you ever tasted samagon? I don't even know what that is. What is that, like some Filipino ingredient? Samagon. What is that? Oh, moonshine. Ooh, no, I have not. I'm not too much into hard liquor. I'm not a big fan of it. Um, somebody said something about how I'm Polish. Oh, bet your dupa I'm Polish, and what you're saying is very possible. One thing about you shoebots is that you definitely do your homework before saying. Listen, I have a very simple mind. I'm not a complicated person. Okay, you guys know this already. Just watch my videos. I'm a very simple person. Okay, I see things very simply. When a country loses territory, it will take that territory back when their opportunity comes. You will always have these types of people who come along and they say that's not true. We love you. Listen, this is why I don't take these opinions very seriously. Did this guy respond yet? No. This is why I don't take these opinions very seriously. They are Nazi groups in every country. My friend, you're not my Polish friend. You're not answering my question in all respect. You said the Nazis in every country. No one's arguing. Nobody is arguing that Ukraine is the only country on earth that has Nazis. Nobody's arguing this. They are Nazis here in America. I know. We had the Tiki Torch rally back in Charlottesville, remember? But the Tiki Torch holders don't have their own military unit. The Tiki Torch holders don't have so much influence in the government that the government will pass a law saying you can't say anything disrespectful about whatever their heroes are. That's the whole point. As a Polish person, does it not worry you that your neighbor glorifies people that murdered your people? The reason why I don't take these sorts of opinions very seriously, or the reason why I think that they don't hold as much weight as people may think they do, and I say this with all due respect, is because you will always have people with these sorts of opinions, right? That's not true. Everything is great. It's wonderful. Blah, 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 blah. You're always going to have people like this. You have people who go to North Korea and they come back and they say, no, North Korea is great. You're all wrong. It's a wonderful country, whatever. There's a great story that you can read. It's the story of Pierre von Passen. Pierre von Passen was a Dutch journalist who lived in New York City, but he was a very famous journalist back in the 1930s, and he wrote a book called Days of Our Years. It was the number one bestseller for a while at that time. And one of the things that made Pierre van Passen very popular, or what got him a lot of attention, was the fact that he he interviewed Adolf Hitler before Adolf Hitler took power. He interviewed Adolf Hitler when Hitler was campaigning. And he interviewed Hitler, and Hitler said that we're going to, he saw Hitler talking, and he saw how Hitler expressed himself and how Hitler screamed and yelled and was speaking in a very aggressive way, hands up like this and everything. And he saw how the crowds were following him and all this stuff and the cult that was there around Hitler. Pierre Van Passen went to New York City and he did a speech to the biggest synagogue in New York City. And he told the people in the synagogue, he said, Hitler is going to take power. I met Adolf Hitler and I looked into his eyes, and I can tell you right now that he will kill all the Jews. He's going to exterminate the Jews. And if he rules for 10 years, if his rule lasts for 10 years, there will not be a single Jewish gravestone left in Europe. This is what Pierre Van Passen said. After his speech, somebody approached him and said, "Hey, a very rich Jewish guy wants to talk to you in the back of in the back room." Van Passen said, "Okay." Went to the room. And there was this wealthy Jewish man there. And he said, "I listened to your speech, and what you said was absolutely preposterous. What you said was absolutely ridiculous." And Passen said, "How so?" And this wealthy Jewish man said, "Germany is the most..." Connection is unstable. Okay, are we back? There was a... Okay, we're good. Okay. So in case you didn't hear what I said, there's a great example that you can read of this. It's the example of Pierre Van Passen. And Pierre Van Passen was a famous journalist back in the 1930s. He was from the Netherlands, from Holland, but he lived in New York City. And he wrote a book called Days of Our Years. That's the name of the book, Days of Our Years. And I read much of the book when I was in high school. And Pierre Van Passen... Okay, are we good? Pierre Van Passen, one of the reasons why he got so much attention was because he interviewed Adolf Hitler before Adolf Hitler took power. And he saw Hitler speak, and he interviewed Adolf Hitler. And he went to New York City. And he gave a speech to the biggest synagogue in New York City. And he basically told the people in the synagogue that Hitler's going to take power. And I looked into the man's eyes, and I can tell you right now that he's going to slaughter the Jews. And if Hitler controls Germany for 10 years, there won't be a single Jewish gravestone in Germany. And I think he also said in Europe. And after the speech, somebody approached Passen and said, "There's a man who wants to talk to you in the back room." Passen went to the back room, and there was this old Jewish guy there, a very wealthy Jewish man. And this old wealthy Jewish man said, "I listened to your speech, and what you said was absolutely ridiculous." And Passen asked him, "How so?" To which the elderly wealthy Jewish man said, "Civilization will always be civilization. Germany will always be Germany. What you said was completely ridiculous. It was preposterous." And that's the type of opinion that you would have heard in those days before the outbreak of the Second World War, before Hitler took power. There were many people who would have told you that's all nonsense. And there were also many people, Catholic people, Christian people, who would have told you that the Nazis were great because they were fighting communism. So fast forward to today, and what do we have? We have Ukraine, which is a country that is riddled with... there's something wrong here. Hold on.